You know that saying, teachers aren't just educators, we're protectors too? I used to say that like it was a badge of honor, but I had no idea just how terrifying that responsibility could become until I reported what I believed was a case of child abuse, and the child's parent turned their wrath directly on me. Hey, before I dive into this mess, can I just ask, where are you watching from and what time is it right now? I love seeing where all of you are tuning in from. It reminds me that even in the middle of all this madness, we're not alone. Okay, so I'm a sixth grade teacher in a relatively small town. It's the kind of place where people know each other's business and word spreads faster than wildfire. But when it comes to children, I've always followed the same rule. If I suspect a child is being harmed, I speak up. Period. This all started with one of my students, Ryan. He was quiet, kept to himself, and always wore long sleeves, no matter how hot it was. The other kids didn't bully him or anything, but he had this haunted look in his eyes, like he was constantly watching his back. One Monday morning, he showed up with a swollen lip and bruises on his arms. He claimed he fell off his bike, but something about the way he said it, without meeting my eyes, didn't sit right. The school had protocols, of course. I went straight to the guidance counselor and reported what I saw. She said she'd follow up, and I thought that was the end of my role. But it wasn't. Later that week, CPS showed up at the school to interview Ryan. Afterward, he avoided me like I was the plague. He wouldn't look at me, wouldn't speak. I tried to comfort myself by thinking maybe he was just embarrassed. Then, one night, I was staying late grading papers when someone pounded on my classroom door. It was Ryan's father. He was red-faced, breathing heavy, and I swear, if the janitor hadn't been down the hall, I don't know what would have happened. He said, "You think you can destroy my family with some bleeding heart accusation? You don't know what you've done." I remember freezing, literally too scared to breathe. Then he added, "You've made a powerful enemy. Watch your back, Miss Savior." He spat that nickname like poison and stormed off. That should have been my clue to report him right then and there, but stupidly, I didn't. I was more afraid of him making good on that threat than I was confident in the system protecting me. That night, I barely slept. Every sound outside my window had me jumping. I didn't tell anyone. Not my principal, not the union rep, not even my best friend who teaches across the hall. A few days passed. Then weird things started happening. My tires were slashed. No note, no witnesses. My classroom was ransacked over a weekend. Nothing stolen, just a chaotic mess. The worst part? The word rat was carved into my whiteboard. The administration brushed it off as a random vandalism. I didn't. Then came the letters. Typed, anonymous letters started showing up in my mailbox at home and my desk at school. Threatening, eerie, and specific. One said, "If you cared so much about Ryan, you should have kept your mouth shut." Another said, "They'll never find your body in time." That's when I broke. I finally told the principal. To his credit, he was horrified. But you know what he did? He suggested I take a leave of absence for my safety. So I did. And you know what happened next? They replaced me with a long-term sub and swept the whole thing under the rug. CPS eventually cleared the family, not because there was no abuse, but because Ryan denied everything. He'd been threatened too. His father told him if he said one more word, his mom would be the one to pay the price. She already had a broken wrist from slipping. I found this out weeks later from Ryan's aunt. She was the only one in the family brave enough to talk. She said she tried to get custody of Ryan, but the courts didn't see her as a viable guardian because she had a misdemeanor from years ago. The system failed him, just like it failed me. But I wasn't about to go quietly. I contacted a lawyer, filed a restraining order against the father, reported every threatening letter, every act of intimidation. I even contacted a local journalist who specialized in education and abuse cases. It was risky, but it worked. The story made headlines. Teacher targeted after reporting child abuse. The public outcry forced CPS to reopen the case. Ryan's father was arrested 6 weeks later for domestic violence against his wife. Eventually, enough evidence came to light that Ryan was placed in his aunt's care. And me? I went back to the classroom. But everything had changed. The whispers from parents, the side eyes from staff. Some people treated me like a hero, others treated me like a pariah for overstepping. One parent even pulled their kid from my class saying, "I don't want my child around someone who can't mind her own business." But I do it again. Because here's the part no one sees. Ryan wrote me a letter months after he moved in with his aunt. It just said, "Thank you for not ignoring me like everyone else. I'm sorry you got hurt, but you saved me." I keep that letter in my desk drawer to this day. On the hard days, I read it again. And I remind myself, this job isn't just about teaching multiplication and grammar. It's about protecting the ones who can't protect themselves, even when it costs you everything. So, to every teacher out there who's been forced to choose between silence and doing what is right, you're not alone. And to those who ask if it was worth it, yes, 1,000 times yes. Now, let me ask you this. What would you have done if you were in my shoes?